Great athletes, great athletes. Thank you very much. It's a real honor to be with stars. I like being with stars. I like being with winners. You're winners like nobody. Thank you very much. Fantastic. It's fantastic. Today we're truly honored to welcome to the White House perhaps the greatest group of Winter Olympians in American history. At the 2026 Olympic Games, Team USA won more gold medals than any American Winter Olympic team has ever won before. And what an amazing achievement. Not bad. That's not bad. That's pretty good, isn't it, huh? We had some good teams, too. We're also honored to be joined by many of the members of the U.S. Paralympic team who are fantastic. I watched so much of that and showed unbelievable strength and persistence and skill and brought home an incredible 13 Paralympic gold medals to America. Congratulations. That's a lot of medals. It's a record. That's a record. Along with the athletes, I want to thank the Team USA coaches and staff members who are here today, as well as CEO of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committees, Sarah Hirschland. Sarah, wherever you may be, thank you. Please stand up. Great. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much. Treasurer of the United States, and this is a very good friend of mine. Where's Brandon? Brandon Beach. That's a good position. Treasurer. Think of that, Treasurer of the United States of America. That's good. He controls a lot of money. And the Director of the United States Mint, Paul Hollis. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Great job. So last February, these incredible Olympians traveled to northern Italy, and they returned home to America wearing 9 bronze medals, 12 silver medals, and a record 12 Winter Olympic golds. Nothing like that. That was the all-time record. These men and women sacrifice years of their lives and countless early mornings to be the best in the world. That's right. I guess you get up early in the morning, don't you? I remember those days, but I didn't do it as well as you. Not quite. It's really something, and they were early mornings, and they did it for the highest privilege in all of sports, wearing the red, white, and blue while representing those 3 proud letters on their uniform. It's called USA, and that's what you do. Among the great medalists with us this evening is one of those who helped bring home the team figure skating gold, Danny O'Shea. Where's Danny O'Shea? Where's Danny? Where's Danny? Not bad, Danny. That's pretty good. I watched that one. Great going, Danny. You look better in person if you want to know. When it mattered most, Danny skated the best he has ever skated. Would you say that was the best you've ever? The best. You're never going to do it again. Are you going to do it again? You'll do it again. Do it again. That's great. Yeah, but he said it was the best he ever skated, and other people, too, in his entire life, and his performance helped the U.S. edge out Japan, who's a very great team, in the team event by a single point, 69-68. And I want to just say again, because I watched that, Danny, well done, and the whole team, well done. That's incredible. That's incredible. Thank you. That's great. Also with us is the single most decorated American Olympian from the 2026 Games, speed skater Jordan Stolz. And I watched that one too. Strong legs, very strong legs. I said, how do I get my legs to look like that? I don't have any time to work like that. But you were amazing. And historic victories. Jordan broke the Olympic record in the men's 500-meter, 1,000-meter speed skating, winning double gold medals. In addition, Jordan brought home the silver in the 1,500-meter competition, and he just did a great job. Everybody's still talking about it. So, Jordan, where are you, Jordan? And I met Jordan before, and he's a fantastic young man, great future. We also have the gold medal champion in women's moguls, Elizabeth Lemley. I don't know how you do that, Elizabeth. That's amazing stuff. Where's Elizabeth? Elizabeth. Along with gold medal winning mixed aerial freestyle skiing team consisting of Christopher Lillis, Connor Curran, and Kayla Kuhn. Thank you very much. Wow. Where are you? Great job. I also have to mention the team that won perhaps the greatest victory on the hockey rink since the original Miracle on Ice, and they were here in February, and there was an amazing moment, just an incredible, the 2026 men's Olympic hockey team. We celebrated together, and it was something special. It was really an amazing period of time, and the women's team and the men's team, it was just incredible. And in that overtime thriller, Team USA beat Canada 2-1 thanks to many memorable performances and clutch plays, including the golden goal. They scored it. They call it the golden, it sounds like me naming it. I call it the golden age of America. The golden age of America. Now we have the golden goal. But that's okay. And that was done by Jack Hughes, as you know, great guy. And a record 41 saves by goalie Connor Hellebuyck. And he was MVP. Everybody would agree to that. He was unbelievable. He was something. And of course, we can't forget and never would. And nobody would have the courage to forget either, because they are amazing. The history-making women's hockey team, this team left everything right on the ice, and they beat Canada and clinched the Olympic gold. With us today are two of the key contributors to that winning effort, Abby Murphy and Joy Dunn. And I want to thank you, Abby and Joy, for really a memorable period of time. It was just an amazing time for our country. Where are you, Abby and Joy? Where are you? That was really something, but never before in history have both of our men's and women's hockey teams won gold in a single season. This is truly and I say it's just a period of time. Our country has never done better than it's doing right now in so many different ways, even in terms of investment. 19.2 trillion is pouring into our country, making them richer. It's making everybody in this room richer, including my man. But it's been a great period of time, and I will say this: the whole world and they know it, and they say it. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and a big factor is right standing behind me. And what a future they have, every one of them. Thank you very much. Such an honor. So, adding to this historic success, our Paralympians brought home their 5th straight gold medal in sled hockey and extended one of the greatest dynasties in all of international sports. And it's amazing what you've done. Nobody's ever done anything like it. Where are you? Let me just